Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned." And Jacob saw that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent for Rachel and Leah and said, "You know how I've worked for your father, but he has changed my wages 10 times. Yet God has not allowed him to harm me." Then Jacob took his wives and children and set out. While Laban was away shearing sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Jacob deceived Laban by not telling him he was running away. Laban pursued Jacob and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. That night, God came to Laban in a dream and warned him, "Be careful not to say anything good or bad to Jacob." Laban said to Jacob, "Why did you run off secretly and steal my household gods?" Jacob replied, "I was afraid. If you find your gods with anyone here, they shall not live." Laban searched everywhere but found nothing, because Rachel had hidden them in a camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Then Jacob became angry and said, "What is my crime? I worked for you 20 years, through heat and frost. God has seen my hardship." So Jacob and Laban made a covenant. They piled stones as a witness and named the place Mizpah. Laban said, "May the Lord watch between you and me when we are apart." The next morning, Laban kissed his daughters and grandchildren and returned home. Jacob went on his way, and angels of God met him. When he saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." Then Jacob sent messengers to Esau and Edom, hoping for peace. But the messengers returned saying, "Esau is coming to meet you, with 400 men." Jacob was terrified. He divided the people and animals into 2 groups, thinking, "If Esau attacks one group, the other may escape." Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my father Abraham, save me, I am afraid Esau will attack me." That night Jacob sent gifts to Esau, goats, sheep, camels, cows, and donkeys, hoping to appease him. Later that night, Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw he could not overpower him, he touched Jacob's hip, so it was wrenched. The man said, "Let me go." Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and humans and have overcome." Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." He limped as the sun rose. Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with 400 men. He bowed down 7 times as he approached. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around him and kissed him, and they wept. Esau asked, "What's the meaning of all these flocks?" Jacob answered, "To find favor in your eyes." Esau said, "I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have." But Jacob insisted, "Please accept the gift. Seeing your face is like seeing the face of God." Then Esau returned to Seir, but Jacob went to Succoth and then to Shechem, where he bought land and set up an altar to God. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, went out to visit the women of the land. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the ruler of the land, saw her, took her, and violated her. But he was deeply drawn to Dinah and asked his father to arrange marriage. Jacob heard about it but waited for his sons to return. When they came, they were furious. Hamor said, "Let our people intermarry. Give us your daughters and take ours." But Jacob's sons deceived them, saying, "We will only agree if all your men are circumcised." On the 3rd day, while the men were still in pain, Simeon and Levi took their swords and attacked the city. They killed all the males, including Shechem and Hamor. Then the other sons of Jacob plundered the city. Jacob said, "You have brought trouble on me by making me a stench to the people of the land." But his sons replied, "Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute?" God said to Jacob, "Go to Bethel and build an altar to the God who appeared to you." So Jacob told his family to get rid of foreign gods. They gave him the idols and earrings, and Jacob buried them under an oak tree. When they set out, God caused terror to fall on the surrounding cities. Jacob built an altar and called the place El Bethel. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under an oak below Bethel. God appeared to Jacob again and said, "Your name is Jacob, but you will be called Israel." God said, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase. A nation and a community of nations will come from you." Jacob set up a stone pillar and poured oil on it. As they moved on, Rachel went into labor. She had great difficulty in childbirth. As she breathed her last, she named her son Benoni, but Jacob named him Benjamin. Rachel died and was buried near Bethlehem. Jacob set up a pillar over her tomb, which stands to this day. Isaac lived to be 180 years. Then he died and was gathered to his people, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. This is the account of the family line of Esau, who is also called Edom. Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan, Adah, Oholibamah, and Basemath. Esau's sons were born in the land of Canaan, but he moved to the hill country of Seir because the land could not support both his and Jacob's herds. So Esau settled in the land of Edom. Esau's descendants became chiefs, kings, and rulers in their regions. This chapter records their names, clans, and regions in great detail, showing how the nation of Edom developed. These are the kings who reigned in Edom before any king ruled over the Israelites. Jacob lived in the land of Canaan. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending flocks with his brothers and brought their father a bad report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than his other sons because he had been born in his old age. He gave Joseph a richly ornamented robe, a coat of many colors. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more, they hated him. Joseph had a dream and told it to his brothers. "We were binding sheaves in the field when my sheaf stood upright, and your sheaves bowed down to mine." They hated him even more. He had another dream: the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me. Even his father rebuked him for it. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers. They saw him coming and plotted to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. Reuben tried to rescue him, suggesting they throw Joseph into a pit. When Joseph came to them, they stripped off his robe and threw him into a cistern. Then they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming. So they sold Joseph for 20 shekels of silver. They dipped his robe in goat's blood and brought it to Jacob, who believed a wild animal had devoured his son. Jacob mourned deeply. Meanwhile, Joseph was sold to Potiphar, an official of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. At that time, Judah left his brothers and married a Canaanite woman. She bore him 3 sons, Onan, and Shelah. Judah arranged for to marry a woman named Tamar. But was wicked, so the Lord put him to death. Then Onan was told to fulfill his duty to Tamar. But he avoided giving her children, so the Lord put him to death too. Judah told Tamar to live as a widow until Shelah grew up. Years later, Judah's wife died. Tamar disguised herself as a prostitute and waited by the roadside. Judah, not recognizing her, slept with her. She became pregnant by Judah and later revealed it to him. Judah said, "She is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Shelah." Tamar gave birth to twins, Perez and Zerah. Now Joseph had been taken to Egypt. Potiphar bought him from the Ishmaelites. The Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered. He lived in Potiphar's house, and his master saw that the Lord gave him success in everything. So Joseph found favor and was put in charge of Potiphar's household. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and Potiphar's wife took notice. She said, "Come to bed with me." But Joseph refused. "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Though she spoke to him day after day, he refused. One day, she grabbed his cloak, and he ran away, leaving it in her hand. She used the cloak to falsely accuse him. Potiphar was furious and had Joseph thrown into prison. But the Lord was with Joseph in prison and showed him kindness. The warden put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. The Lord gave him success in everything he did. Some time later, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker offended their master. They were put in prison, in the same place where Joseph was. One night, each had a dream. When Joseph came in the next morning and saw they were sad, he asked, "Why are your faces downcast?" They replied, "We both had dreams, but there's no one to interpret them." Joseph said, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer said, "In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. It budded, blossomed, and produced grapes. I took the grapes and gave the cup to Pharaoh." Joseph said, "The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your position." Then the baker told his dream, "I had 3 baskets of bread on my head. Birds were eating from the top basket." Joseph said, "The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body." 3 days later, it was Pharaoh's birthday. He restored the chief cupbearer, but impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said. But the cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He forgot him.